What's up, everybody? Ryan Michael Ballo here to do a nootropics review on caffeine and theanine. This is not from Natural Stacks. This is just me putting together caffeine and theanine. And I gotta say, I've never put that stack together before. You know, I've been taking nootropics for 6 years now. Of course, I'm fully aware of that stack, and that stack's been around for quite some time. And you know, I'm a regular user of theanine. I love L-Theanine because of its ability to induce sort of alpha brainwaves that I feel like after taking theanine, I just meditated. And it's a wonderful way to kind of put yourself in a calm place if you're a little stimulated from caffeine, or if you're a little overstimulated or anxious from something else. But I've never put the combo together before and never taken it as a stack. Okay, so today I did that, and my dose was the following. It was 60 milligrams of caffeine. I had caffeine powder. I did that because in about 20 minutes thereafter, I was going to drink a cup or 2 cups of half calf, small cups from a restaurant, so it really equals about a cup, which would have been 30 additional milligrams of caffeine. So total we're at 90 milligrams of caffeine, and it was 200 milligrams of theanine, which is pretty close to the Smart Caffeine stack by Natural Stacks. I think theirs is 100 milligrams of caffeine and 200 milligrams of L-Theanine. Let's talk about the onset. I feel nootropics pretty quickly. I mean, unless it's something that I have to convert in my liver to something else, like converting a draphanyl in the liver to modafinil, which is the case for a draphanyl. Most nootropics I feel in like 20 to 25 minutes, whether it's oxiracetam, aniracetam, the Cortex Gen 1 stack. Gen 1 onsets in like 20 minutes for me. Gen 2, same deal. Or Alpha Brain. Actually, Alpha Brain took a little longer. When I used to take Alpha Brain back in the day, that was a stack that I used to kind of take a lot. When I first started getting into pre-made stacks, Alpha Brain took like an hour and some change to kick in, but virtually everything else, kicks in right away. And so after 25 minutes, I started to feel a great kind of wakefulness that I normally get from caffeine. I felt my brain kind of wake up as it normally does if I drink a cup of coffee. But having the extra element of theanine in there was added this additional element to it, that additional kind of calm, prefrontal cortex controlled state. Alpha brainwave states, which is what theanine has been clinically shown to do, to induce, are states in which the brain is just kind of in control of itself. I always like to think like I've got control over my frontal lobes when I'm in an alpha brainwave state. Meditation is a great way to induce that state, and I do that a lot. I meditate a lot. Right? I mean, it's like one of the best. I think it's one of the reasons why when you meditate you feel so awesome, right? Because you induce that alpha brainwave state. It's a very calm place. It's a very serene state to be in, and it feels really good. It gives you a better capacity to kind of control your brain in response to the excessive thoughts that you might have, in response to the anxiety that comes from your life. It gives you a better ability to kind of slow down and analyze your behavior and how your brain is functioning. It gives you the ability to meta-think, which is really cool, the idea of metacognition, thinking about your thinking. And those are pretty interesting elements for people that are conscious of how they want their brains to function throughout the day. And then you've got the caffeine, of course, which is something we talked about in other videos. The video called Stimulants versus Nootropics, the difference between the nootropic features of something like caffeine and the nootropic features of something like uridine monophosphate or aniracetam, where the caffeine is essentially a performance enhancement. It's not really functional improvements, like I don't really have better working memory as a result of taking caffeine or drinking caffeine, and I don't really have better verbal fluency as a result of consuming caffeine, but I can say that I have better performance. My brain certainly has a lot more energy to pursue some of the things that I might want to engage in. It's like looking at the whiteboard or looking at some sort of labor-intensive task, or I don't know, brain performance intensive task, like looking at QuickBooks and doing some admin work, requires that the brain have a good degree of energy to want to go and engage that task. Otherwise, you're not going to engage the task. People like to think like, why am I not energized? Why am I not productive? You got to look at your brain function for sure and get that extra energy in there. Find however you can do it, whether it's optimizing sleep, taking nootropics, drinking caffeine, or whatever, and fix that problem. So yeah, I mean, so caffeine will get me in that place where I want to engage in some admin work, or if there's something pretty brain intensive, just even kind of the idea of just like going and approaching my life out there in the world. I want to do it, brain has the energy to do it, and caffeine will do that. So the combination of caffeine and bringing me to a place where my brain is energized and I'm ready to go, my brain's working faster, and I've got better performance, maybe not better memory or better verbal fluency, but just better performance. Things are faster, and maybe there's some verbal fluency benefits there. I see subtle verbal fluency benefits depending on the dose of caffeine, but it's primarily performance driven and not so much functional brain performance driven. Then you've got that, in combination with the alpha brain state, which puts you in a very calm place, able to control elements of your brain and able to sort of have a modulating control over the prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobes, which is where a lot of that thinking happens, a lot of that sort of excess stuff happens. You can stop the excess thinking. You keep yourself in a pretty calm place, in a relatively stable place, a collected place, while having performance if you need it, which is a very, very cool thing. So overall, I think it's a wonderful stack. I mean, really, for me, it's a stack that I would use when I'm cycling off of nootropics, essentially. Because caffeine and theanine, though I consider both of them nootropics, they're just not in the same category as far as I'm concerned as aniracetam, uridine monophosphate, the Cortex stack, huperzine A, oxiracetam, adrafinil, modafinil, right? Other smart drugs and other nootropics. You know, caffeine is a pretty everyday thing, and if you drink green tea, you're getting a degree of theanine because that's one of the constituents of tea, green tea. Anyway, so those are sort of normal things that people kind of drink from time to time, or people drink every day, much more kind of mainstream. So I don't really consider them nootropics, but these are great brain performance enhancing elements and sort of performance modulating compounds that you can take together as a stack to kind of still make you feel like you're taking a nootropic. Because for me, I've got caffeine powder, an L-Theanine powder, a capsule maker, and I make this stuff at home. But you know, it might not. It's not aniracetam. It's not oxiracetam. It's not a drug. You know, these are things that people take basically every day. It's much more along the lines of something natural for those of you looking to get into nootropics and don't want to go into like modafinil right away, you know, or like adrafinil and oxiracetam stacked with like 600 milligrams alpha GPC. You know, you want to try something pretty simple like the caffeine and theanine stack. Doses are going to depend for you, but generally people get the best effects from 50 milligrams of caffeine to 150 milligrams of caffeine, and 150 milligrams of theanine to 300 milligrams of theanine. And I have to titrate your way up and down and kind of see what works for you. But I would start with a cup of coffee. You know, if you're going to drink coffee, do that too. Drink a cup of coffee and 200 milligrams of theanine. If you've got the powder, 60 milligrams of caffeine, 200 milligrams of theanine. Then just kind of work your way up and down from there and see what dose works best for you. Can I say that it really lasts a super long time and is a nootropic that I might be able to get some brain performance out of for 4+ hours? Probably not. You know, I mean, I'm now right around 4 hours after, and I kind of just feel like I'm normal baseline. But I mean, that's caffeine for you. Caffeine's not going to last all that long depending on the dose. I mean, if you consume a whole lot of caffeine, 200+ milligrams, you might feel that for a considerable amount of time, 4+ hours. But if you're drinking normal amounts and the normal kind of recommended dose for caffeine in this stack, then, you know, it's not going to affect you for a whole lot of time. I guess this depends on your brain, but generally speaking, you know, it's not going to blow your brains out for like the whole day. But nonetheless, it is a pretty interesting stack to have the performance enhancing benefits of caffeine and the kind of frontal lobe control and calmness of theanine. Definitely recommend it for people that are getting into nootropics and aren't really ready to make that jump to like adrafinil or modafinil or oxiracetam or something. And for people that are taking nootropics every day that haven't tried the stack yet and want to cycle off with some of the hard nootropics, some of the real powerful nootropics, and just give yourself a subtle brain performance enhancement that's actually pretty pleasant and pleasurable, that isn't, you know, a smart drug or a heavy nootropic. Lastly, I know some of you are thinking like, dude, never tried caffeine and theanine, what an amateur. I've been taking nootropics for 6 years. I've tried basically everything, and I've combined stacks and stacks and stacks. I built a commercial stack, Cortex Gen 1, working on Gen 2 right now. And so, you know, I'm seasoned in the area of nootropics. I've really just never, I don't think that I've ever consciously put caffeine and theanine together before. And I've taken theanine before and had some caffeine throughout the day, drinking cups of coffee, but this was the first time I actually capsuled caffeine powder and took it with L-Theanine and threw it down, and, you know, and it's awesome. If you have not tried the Cortex Generation 1 nootropic stack, I built a stack called Cortex. It's got multiple generations. Right now we're out, Gen 1 is out. I'm working on Gen 2 right now. Gen 2 is powerful. Trying to make it like a mild version of modafinil. Very powerful stuff. Even Gen 1 is pretty powerful though, very powerful. A lot of people report a lot of great benefits from it, ranging from improved verbal fluency to a great friend of mine who owns a national, perhaps an international, I'm not sure if they've gone global yet, IT services company, essentially a security company, a cyber security company, just reported to me that he's got a great clarity of thought and a great sort of clear-headed focus capacity when he takes the stack, and he feels it instantly. You know, he says 10, 20 minutes later, and he's in, he wants to do work, even on unproductive days, like gets him right back in the place where he wants to work and get stuff done. And that's why the product is called Workhorse. It actually has this sort of separate moniker called Workhorse Gen 1. is the workhorse stack, and that's what it'll make you do. It'll make you sit down and want to work. You will want to clean your house. You'll want to work on some admin stuff. If you're an entrepreneur, you'll want to kill it and get stuff done in your startup. You're going to talk faster, talk better, retrieve words better, have a better memory, have more mental energy, be more motivated to do stuff. We really worked really hard to combine components that work as either precursors to neurotransmitters that are responsible for those brain states in the brain, or chemicals that induce neurite outgrowth and other kind of chemical advancements and optimizations of the human brain. Neurites are these bridges between nerve cells that send information from neuron to neuron. And, the more neurites you have and the more of these branches you have, the faster and more fluidly the brain can send signals, which equals a lot better brain function. It also enhances dopamine receptor densities, among other things, so that's where the motivation comes from the stack. Powerful stack. Grab a bottle at livecortex.com. I think you're going to love it. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Hey, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thumbs up or thumbs down if you totally hate me. I'm all right with that. I can take it. Thumbs down if you want to. It's all good. And share the post on Twitter. That would be the best thing you could do, is share the post on Twitter if you really liked it. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.